This is Roland Martin. At one time, I thought he was the worst. Typical of the don't check facts, don't consider the other side of the coin, jump to conclusions type of YouTuber that I have focused on so much over the last 3 years. And I thought he was the worst. Then along came Rashad Ritchie, and I kind of forgot all about old Roland Martin. I was scrolling through YouTube looking for any kind of discussion about the Lincoln University administrator who killed herself over being fired. When I came across Roland Martin again, I thought, oh, I got to listen to this. And he doesn't disappoint. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis, cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Talking about the apparent suicide of a beloved VP for Student Affairs at Lincoln University in Missouri. Her name is Dr. Antoinette Cardia Bailey. Okay.
And I'm glad he said alleged suicide because we really don't know for sure if that's what she did, but the letter that he's going to disclose here kind of points to it.
She died by suicide on January 8th. People have been suggesting that it was bullying from the university's president, Dr. John Mosley, that led to her suicide. Folks are demanding.
By the way, you saw the pictures of both of them. Gee, I wonder what the big topic is going to be.
That the president also resigned. And Lincoln University, Missouri is a historically black college university. It's now a predominantly white institution.
That's right, predominantly white. Don't forget that.
Today, the Lincoln University Board of Curators announced Dr. Mosley volunteered to be placed on paid administrative leave while a third party reviews the school's personnel processes.
Oh, before I forget, I just did a video on this incident on my channel, so go look for it. I'll link it in the description below.
According to those close to Dr. Bailey, she was subjected to a toxic work environment, enduring alleged bullying and harassment from President Mosley and other university officials.
Well, quit. I mean, if it's that bad, resign, go work for somebody else. Don't kill yourself over a job.
Despite her numerous attempts to seek support and address the issue, Dr. Bailey was allegedly left unsupported and disregarded.
Okay, well, that's your take on it. I'm not so sure I go along with that, but okay.
She penned a letter on the day she died, detailing the bullying she faced after disclosing her mental illness to university officials.
All right, so she has admitted to being mentally ill.
This here is a letter here, folks. Joining us right now from Atlanta is Lincoln University's National Alumni Association President, Dr. Sherman Bonds.
Now, he's from Atlanta. I wonder if Rashad Ritchie is going to get involved in the action here at some point.
Who wrote this letter, folks, calling the school's current leadership a liability. This letter has been circulating on social media as well, and folks, of course, have been talking about this. Again, folks, do y'all have the letter that she penned? Okay, I'm saying, do you have it in the control room? Okay, all right, so let me do this here, folks. I want to pull that up because I want to be able to share it with you. We were sent a number of documents, folks, from the family of Dr. Candia Bailey that, again, she shared. And there were all sorts of messages that were shared, that were sent, that went out as well. Like I said, she, so this here, I'm trying to see here. I want to go ahead and make sure that this is the correct letter here.
Would be nice to prepare for your show.
And like I say, this has really been talked about by a lot of different people. This here is...
Notice how he's stalling here. Now, this has been talked about by a lot of people. Come on, let me see if I can find it.
An email that took place between President Mosley as well as with Candia Bailey here. You'll see right here from John Mosley to Candia Bailey. It talked about her various comments, issues in her personnel file. Go and go to my iPad.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at the letter or anything like that, but his stalling tactic. Dude, you should have this ready for when you start to tape.
Please. And so this is what it shows right here. Okay, come on, pull it up, guys.
Okay, so this is to her from the university president. Hello, any of your comments about the evaluation may be noted on it or attached to it, and it will be placed with the signed evaluation in your personnel file. Okay, so this is all just very short, to the point, professional.
Thank you. And so you see right here, and so you see the various
Okay, her response is quite a bit longer. We're going to look into this a little bit more in a moment.
emails going back and forth with her and the university president on a variety of issues that was shared with us. And so that was with her and President John Mosley of Lincoln University. Do we have Sherman Bonds? Can you hear me, Sherman? Okay, so we still are having some issues with his audio. We're still having some issues there with his audio. And so, this is one of those stories that people are talking about. Because it deals with workplace environment. It deals with how people are dealing with various issues within the workplace. We have a number of individuals who work in academia who have been sharing their stories about the things that they actually have been enduring, what they have been going through, all of those different things. And it has been, and again, so you also had an effort to terminate her. So again, it's just so many different things that have been taking place.
An effort to terminate her? No, she was terminated. And he spelled out why. And in my opinion, if the charges were actually accurate, she should have been terminated. And I'm not so certain that her mental illness didn't play a role in that, but we'll never know.
This is the letter here that Dr. Mosley, that was sent by Dr. Bailey to President Mosley.
Okay, so we can just look at this. Okay, thank you for allowing me to return to Lincoln University on May 1st. He's the one that hired her. I was humbled and appreciated the opportunity. I appreciated the meeting. At the end, before the November evaluation meeting, I asked, and she boldfaces, if you wanted me at LU. Thank you for the indirect response. It spoke volumes. Lincoln is where it started for me and where it ended, again in boldface. I'm expressing my sincere thoughts in this letter, and yeah, she's going to.
On the day she committed suicide, you see her saying, thank you for allowing me to return to Lincoln University on May 1st, 2023, and serve as the Vice President and Dean of Students in the Division of Student Affairs. She goes on to talk about being appreciative of working there. She says, yes, there are some interpersonal personality.
Okay, so this second paragraph is a mess. She says, please allow Teresa Petty to coordinate with my sorors, which I assume are sorority members, sorority sisters, I don't know. Some are in town and others may be on business in Jefferson City. And she lists a whole bunch of names in this parentheses. And then she says, to gain entry and have anything from the office or apartment. Well, that's not her office. That's the university's office. The whole notion that she can dictate who can go into her office and get things is a little bit troublesome. She says they are all in good standing with the university. What? Please don't allow random employees into the space before they can enter. That is not up for her to decide. If the university president wants to go into her office, he can do so. It's not hers. So this is a little strange. I have specific items I want them to have, and they have detailed instructions. Wait, you can't leave stuff in your office for people to pick up. If you have personal items, you take them. If they're not personal items, it's not up for you to decide who gets to have them. This is just really odd.
Personality conflicts with team members. They're dedicated and work hard. I appreciated the meeting, and at the end, before the November evaluation meeting, I asked if you wanted me at LU. Thank you for the indirect response. It spoke volumes. Lincoln is where it started for me and where it ended. I'm expressing my sincere thoughts in this letter. She addresses and speaks about a number of her sorority sisters. She was an AKA in here as well. She goes on.
And she goes on to say, Roseanne can speak with my family from the administration. Okay, you are not to have any contact. How dare she talk to a university president like this? You've caused enough harm and mental damage. Sodexo, which I assume is a cleaning company, can clean and have whatever after the above individuals have an opportunity to go through. I don't think she understands. It's not her stuff. My family should not have to retain any belongings. Does she live in her office? As the director of HR, April Robinson should not have any contact with my family. Again, she has no right to dictate that. And then she goes on, first I was concerned I received a 36 out of 100 score on my evaluation. That meant I didn't have a pulse and was just a body present. Well, I don't know. I mean, 36 out of 100 sounds pretty bad, but I have nothing to compare it to. Maybe most people only score a 60 out of 100. I can't tell you. If I am wrong, please accept my apology. The evaluation was not good. Why did you allow me to work if I was that much of a bad employee with poor leadership? He fired you. So, I mean, he didn't allow you to work. While everyone was asleep, I was working. While on vacation, I was working. Okay, you can't make up for poor performance by just simply putting in long hours. Okay, I mean, and in fact, putting in long hours often in some university settings could be looked upon as a negative. You even asked that I do a schedule send on email so folks aren't getting messages at all times of the night. So he's pointing out to her a problem. You keep sending stuff out late at night to people. And he's saying, why don't you put a schedule on it so that the email goes out during business hours? And that's actually probably a good suggestion. I made it clear to staff that I work 24/7. No, you don't. But I don't have that expectation for them to be up working. So I don't think they're going to be working as hard as me. The staff can never tell you of a time I didn't respond when I was working or away from the office. Okay, that's all fine. You know, you've been very responsive to your emails, but that's only a very small part of the job. Who got calls at 2 a.m., answered them, and followed up appropriately? Well, I don't know what kind of calls a vice president gets at 2 in the morning. I mean, who calls the vice president of student affairs at 2 o'clock in the morning? I don't know. But I have a feeling that probably never happened.
And talks about she receiving a 36 out of a 100 score on her evaluation on November 15th. She says that.
And then she goes on, if it was so bad, talking about her evaluation, you should have provided me with an improvement action plan to work with me on my poor performance. Well, some bosses will, and some bosses will say, look, she's not working out. I really don't like working with her. We'll get somebody else. The president is not required to work with you to improve your performance if he doesn't want to. Different bosses have different styles.
That meant I didn't have a pulse and was just a body present. The total score was 100. If I am wrong, please accept my apology. The evaluation was not good. Why did you allow me to work if I was that much of a bad employee with poor leadership? While everyone was asleep, I was working. While on vacation, I was working. You even asked that I do a scheduled send on emails so folks aren't getting messages at all times of the night. I made it clear to staff that I work 24/7, but I don't have that expectation for them to be up working. The staff can never tell you of a time I didn't respond when I was working or away from the office. Never. Who got calls at 2 a.m., answer them, and follow up appropriately. If it was so bad, you should have provided me with an improvement action plan to work with me on my poor performance. You had no intention of retaining me as the VPSA. It went downhill after the FLMA and ADA documents were submitted due to my severe depression and anxiety.
Okay, blaming your poor performance on anxiety and severe depression is probably not a good idea. I mean, you need to get help for your mental illness. What you don't need to do is start to blame your mental illness for poor performance. That just never works out well. And it's really bad to expect your boss to accept that as an excuse.
She's saying, I requested to be removed under your leadership and from PAC, and this was causing significant attacks. This is all documented and sent. She says, you intentionally harassed and bullied me and got satisfaction from sitting back to determine how you would ensure I failed as an employee and proud alumna. How can you have an employee who ranks 36 out of 100 without a plan to help them improve?
I can explain that. At some point, if it's really bad, there's no point. This person is so bad that I'm not going to come up with an improvement plan. Frankly, I just want to get rid of him or her. And apparently, that's kind of what he wanted to do. I have no idea what she was like to work with.
Well, you allowed me to do your dirty work and clean house in student affairs. Everyone you had significant concerns about within student affairs and discussed when I started is no longer with the university.
Okay, did you fire them, run them out of town, or were you so difficult to work with that they quit? I have no idea. I don't know what she means by that.
She then goes on by saying, you're avoiding this concern and thriving off the chaos. As an incoming president, you were required to discard it is no longer with the university. She then goes on by saying, you're avoiding this concern and thriving off the chaos. As an incoming president, you were required to receive leadership coaching, which you complained about meeting with Joe.
Well, okay, leadership coaching, everybody complains about that. Nobody likes it, okay? Leadership coaching is something that HR produces. They make you go through it. And quite frankly, the thing that pisses me off is that the people who are leading the leadership coaching are working at the university in HR because they could not get a job in the real world. Most of those people have never run a company, but they get a job in HR in the university so that they can tell others how to do it. Now, what you are seeing here, though, are her recommendations to him to make him a better employee. This is arrogant as hell, and that's what kind of bothers me a little bit about her.
Coaching is needed. Then she went on and talked about a number of other meetings. She talked about this PAC meeting. She said, you never had a discussion with me about some of the concerns. I even asked for the specifics during the meeting, which you struggled to provide and promised me to give specifics. When you offered needed clarity on how it related to the evaluation, I questioned. She said, what you offered needed clarity on how it related to the evaluation. I questioned, and you made it clear you weren't changing anything. It seemed you just pulled things out of the air. She talked about him failing to respond to issues as well. And she goes on and on and on, detail.
So she made a whole bunch of suggestions to him, and he said, I ain't doing them. Well, that's what almost every university president will do. He probably didn't appreciate the feedback. Now, there's a lot of presidents who will appreciate the feedback. Well, they'll tell you they do, but most likely they don't really, and they're not going to do it.
An email that she received as well, talking about the mental health issues. She says, you were made aware of my mental health by email before I sent the email to the BOC, the Board of Curators. You scheduled a meeting on 10/26. Your demeanor was that of rushing. You stood the entire meeting and you appeared heartless.
Okay, that's not going to drive me to suicide. And by the way, she notifies him of her mental health problems. So basically, I'm mentally ill, so you have to kowtow to my whimsy. Well, I'm not sure that that's what she did, but I have a sneaky suspicion that that's what happened here. If I was going to guess as to his side of the story, and keep in mind, it could be wrong, But if I was going to guess as to what he's going to say is that she was really difficult to work with, and every time she screwed up, she always blamed her mental health problems. And at some point, she became a liability. I didn't give her any tips on how to perform because she was a lost cause. She was just so scattered mentally that I just couldn't deal with her. Who knows?
She then says, be kind and watch how you talk to people. People have feelings and your words hurt. I observed you don't like it. I observed you don't like it when people do this to you. I mentioned this to you and you said, Bonnie, you do the same thing. I acknowledge I was direct and tried to make changes in my delivery.
So she does have a problem. And he pointed it out to her.
Take ownership and don't get defensive when people try to provide feedback. She said Student Affairs Administration is a revolving door. She went on and talked about, please reconsider your management style. You're the first president I've ever seen, and I've worked and graduated from some influential R1 institutions, to have his hands in everything. I mean everything. Now, for areas you don't know much about, it is known you stay out of the way. It boils.
Okay, if I'm the president, I'm saying, hey man, this is my ship. I run it the way I want to run it. If I want to have my hands in everything, I will do so. That is my management style. Yeah, a lot of people will say, well, it's not a very good one, but that's not for her to tell me. My management of my crew is a professional decision that I make. And how dare you question it?
Boils down to your lack of trust, insecurities, and control. How can you be concerned with trusting others when you can't be trusted? She talked about,
oh, I'm tired of all this trust crap. I'm not looking for loyalty. My job is a contract. I agree to do XXX for the university, and you agree to pay me XXX in return. I'm not joining your army.
Working with other presidents and how they operated. She said, we spend so much on attorney fees. Kathy needed to provide better legal guidance regarding me in 2 situations. She accused him of being micromanager. You see all of this. She said, stop bullying and beating Pac up in front of others. What I've learned, you put April and Jeff in uncomfortable positions in front of others. And
that's April and Jeff's problem, not yours. And now April and Jeff are compromised. Do you think that this is going to help the relationship between April, Jeff, and the president? I don't know who they are, but if I'm them, I don't want my name mentioned in this letter. Do leave me the fuck out of this, lady. And as she says, since Kevin was hurt by your treatment. If I'm Kevin, I'm thinking, why in the hell are you telling him that? I didn't want him to know that he hurt me. I'm trying to work things out with him. I mean, keep in mind, she was fired partly because she was disclosing confidential statements from grievances filed against her. And you start to see the problem here. This is unprofessional.